Guys! So I'm really sorry that I couldn't make a video last week, but you're getting two videos this week. As you can see, it's a whole new kind of area in my new little house. And today I will actually be talking about my own experience with housing. I will make a video kind of in general terms about housing for the care experience community and care leavers. But today it's just kind of my own experience. So when I was with my foster family, I was there until I was 19, because happily I did find a family that really accepted me and I could stay there longer than 18. And then I had moved out and I was in a relationship and currently still am. So I wasn't able to go into supported lodgings or aftercare accommodation. Supported lodgings is a sort of housing provided to care leavers. There is a waiting list for this, and obviously not everybody gets a spot. But it's kind of like living with in a residential placement with other foster children who have their own rooms, obviously, and there's staff that kind of watch the place. And because I was in a relationship and I had wanted to move in with my partner, I couldn't avail of these things. So the only thing that I could do was sign myself up for the council housing list. And I was living in Dublin at the time, so that's where I signed up for the council housing list and for HAP, which is the homeless payment for accommodation. But it's very difficult to find a place with this because landlords tend to not accept HAP, even though that it's illegal. They will just find another reason for why they didn't take you on, but really, it's just difficult to find a privately rented space that will accept HAP because there's certain standards that landlord would have to adhere to and that property would have to adhere to under HAP. So we couldn't really avail of that, even though I was on the list. So initially, when I moved out of my ma's house, I had moved into my partner's mother's house. And we stayed there for a couple of months. And then we managed to find just a bedroom in another person's house to rent. So we rented a bedroom for €500 a month plus our bills. And it was just a small bedroom in the landlord's house, and the landlord was living in house as well. And that was a pretty horrible experience for us. That landlord in particular just wasn't a very nice person, and it was a very difficult time, very difficult few months. I actually ended up in hospital with a stomach ulcer due to stress and anxiety caused from our stay in there. We were quite isolated, obviously stuck in the one little room. It wasn't a comfortable space to be in. We didn't really want to go down to the kitchen, so we tended to eat a lot of takeaways for that reason as well, that we just couldn't really spend time in the kitchen and cook. And also it was in a more kind of secluded part of the country, because obviously it's cheaper. We couldn't really find anything closer to Dublin, so I wasn't used to being out of the city. So we were kind of more countryside. So it was harder to kind of get anywhere, and with paying rent and the money that it already was costing us, we couldn't really take the bus and pay the bus to bring us into Dublin, so we very often just kind of stayed in the house and didn't get to really see our friends or families. So like as you can see, we were definitely really eager to get out of there, and we were searching and searching for a place that we could possibly afford, because obviously with the expenses of me trying to get to college as well, and just the money that I was getting paid from the aftercare just wasn't enough to live on as well, even with the two of us having income. So we were looking for a very long time to find a place, and we managed, luckily, to find a one-bedroom apartment in the town we live in now, and we lived there for 2 years, but that was costing us €700 a month plus our bills. So that was quite expensive as well, and it was kind of difficult to keep up with the rent. But we were much happier to have our own place. And we really did love that place, and our landlord was extremely lovely as well, so we lucked out on that side. And honestly, we were very eager to get out of the other place, so we were really happy to find a one bedroom apartment, regardless of the price. But this was what we could afford, so we were very lucky to find that. And also, we were kind of stuck looking for a place in an area where I could get to college from. So luckily, there's a train and bus that goes from here. So I can actually get to college and finish my studies. Um, Now, living there for 2 years, we were very happy, but unfortunately, we had gotten neighbours who weren't the type of people that we would enjoy being around. And for the last couple of months, we did have to put up with a lot of uncomfortable situations. So we were very eager to get out of there yet again. And luckily, it didn't take us as long this time around, but we did manage to find a two-bedroom apartment where we are right now. So we have honestly just been extremely lucky in our searches and being able to find a place that's in our price range. And I'm really delighted to have the second bedroom as well because that now means that if I want to see my brothers or sisters or have them over, I can do that. And that will be an amazing thing to be able to have friends over and have them stay, to have family over and have them stay, because it's something that we were never really able to do or have. And that left us quite isolated and alone. And I think that was very difficult. But happily now, this is our new chapter. Now, just to tell you a little bit about our journey and my journey here and finding a place and finding accommodation for us. Um, I was not helped very much so in trying to find a place. I suppose again I am very independent and I didn't reach out to avail of the aftercare services as such, but I wasn't really supported either. I was given help in being put on the council housing list in Dublin and being put on the HAP, but having moved outside of the Dublin region, I would have to switch my council housing list to where I am now, and also I feel like availing of HAP just isn't worth it for us because no place really accepts it. So it would have been just much more difficult to find accommodation had I used the HAP to pay the rent. So we are just privately renting and paying for it all ourselves. I think that's definitely one thing that really needs to change with the aftercare system is that a lot more support needs to be given to care leavers who aren't able to avail of supported lodgings or aftercare accommodation and who, like myself, have a partner or somebody else that they would like to live with. And I think they need to be supported in finding accommodation and arranging viewings and balancing a budget to be able to pay for the rent and everything else. Um, Also, I feel like the council housing list should definitely put aside a number of homes for care leavers who are struggling with such things because the private renting sector is really difficult to be in. Um, and it really all depends on your own income and how you're able to manage it and luck. It really depends on luck and being lucky enough to find a place that, for one will accept you as a tenant and that you'll be able to afford. I personally found that daft.ie and rent.ie were really good places to look for homes. If you're in a similar situation that I was in or have been in, to look for privately rented accommodation, because you can set the price range and everything on that and your area and location. So it's really helpful in finding accommodation. Um, Also, for anyone that is struggling to find somewhere or in the same position, I do recommend searching through daft.ie or rent.ie daily and maybe twice a day if you can because something will always come up. I find that I don't want to kill myself looking all of the time, but also it does help to look twice a day maybe because something will always pop up that you'll just be lucky enough to find that will suit you. So I do encourage doing that. Um, when it comes to references, because I know it's very difficult, especially as care leavers, we don't have anyone that we can use as a reference. I did manage to use my foster mom as a reference, and obviously having found the bedroom and having found the one bedroom apartment, we were able to use those landlords as well. But I would say definitely don't be afraid to ask your foster parent or guardian for a reference because that can be quite helpful. Or even reach out to the aftercare services. I'm not sure whether they would be able to help with that, but it's worth a try. Another thing that I would definitely say is know your rights as a tenant. You can look them up online on the RTB website. Um, you need to know your rights so that you can stand up for yourself when or if a landlord does try to take advantage of you or abuse their power as a landlord, which does happen unfortunately in the privately rented sector, as I have found myself. Um, but if you know your rights, then you know that you can stand up for yourself and that you don't need to take the crap that that landlord is giving you. And you can always report them to the RTB if they are breaking regulations as well. So this is kind of my experiences in getting accommodation. I definitely think that I didn't see enough support out there, especially for care leavers and young people with care experience, in finding accommodation and paying for it as well. And especially for myself, I was deemed okay enough to kind of take care of myself. So I no longer really have an aftercare worker. I can only just contact the office if I need anything. Which I think because um, being a care leaver, it stays with you and it is a difficult journey. We should have an aftercare worker um, for as long as we need them and as long as we want them, rather than being told that we are doing okay without them, so we don't need them anymore. There needs to be a lot more funding and a lot more supports and resources being given to care leavers and young people with care experience in finding accommodation and keeping accommodation also. Because it's just a really difficult world out there, and we need all the support we can get. Because unfortunately, unlike our non-care experienced peers, we don't really have a family that we can go back to if things go wrong. And that's just kind of the harsh reality for a lot of care experienced young people and care leavers, is that we don't have that support to fall back on. I am very lucky to have my foster mom and my foster family support me, but at the same time, I would also not want to be a burden on them either, and it shouldn't have to be that way. The state should support us in being able to avail of and keep accommodation, and we definitely need a lot more funding to be put into the aftercare system so that a lot more payments can be given to care leavers, because the world is very expensive and renting is very expensive, and I don't think that what we get right now is enough to really live on, considering all the expenses that come with living on your own, living independently. So those are kind of my experiences with the private renting sector and trying to get accommodation as a care leaver, and as a young person with care experience. Next week, I will definitely make a video dedicated to accommodation and housing for care leavers and the care experience community in general. And I'll have a lot more statistics and information for that, and kind of information on support out there as well. If you do need any help at all or any support, if you're a care leaver or a young person trying to avail of accommodation and find accommodation, do send me a message and I will help with whatever I can, and I will send you any links for support or any information that I can find myself, or any organisations that can provide you with support or advice on getting accommodation. Just to let you know, I will be doing a live Q&A this week, so if you want to send me on any questions that I can answer, and they can be on any topic at all to do with the care system, the care experience, and please send them on and I'll answer them during the week. I will let you know when I will be doing my Q&A later on. But thank you so much for listening and for all your support. Have a lovely day.